If you are looking for a sign, this is it. Do you know how to recognize signs and synchronicities? And did you know that those signs and synchronicities are nudges from the universe to help you live your best life? Hello, this is Angelscapes, and I am your host, Nancy Smith. Join me now in this episode about conversing with the universe through symbols, signs, and synchronicities, and learn how those signs and synchronicities can help you in your life. But more than that, you can have a conversation with the universe as you pay attention to these signs and these little nudges.
Welcome to the Angelscapes podcast, where you're encouraged to uncover and develop a direct connection with your soul's power, wisdom, and spiritual intuition that is ready to blossom. We'll explore new ideas, compelling tips, and real steps to help you learn simple spiritual practices. We're a safe place to learn more about accessing your soul's power with education and spiritual wholeness that could bring more clarity to your life. Now here's your host, a practicing medium, Akashic Records practitioner, spirit artist, coach, and mentor, Dr. Reverend Nancy Smith.
So what is synchronicity? Synchronicity, according to Carl Jung, and he's kind of the guy that brought that whole concept of synchronicity out, is the coming together of inner and outer events in a way that cannot be explained by cause and effect. But those events have meaning to the person that they're happening to. They are meaningful to the observer. And Carl Jung tells the story about a client he had, and he was trying to have her see the deeper meaning in something she was going through. She had a constant dream about a scarab, a beetle, a golden beetle, a piece of jewelry. She kept dreaming about it, and he was saying, well, what does it mean to you? What does it stand for in your life? And she was kind of resisting, and then all of a sudden he heard this thunking on the window, on the office window, and he opened the window, and there was a gold and blue scarab beetle there, and he showed it to her, and he said, can we get to work? And she said, okay, now we're going to get to work. There is a metaphysical and even a magical learning with synchronicity. I can say that word, synchronicity, show up out of the blue, like thinking of someone and then they call you on the phone or they send you an email. Synchronicities can show up as dreams that later act out in real time. Things that have symbolic meaning for you that show up in your life repeatedly. Some, people talk about Disney World and going to Disney World when they were little to their grandparents. And then all of a sudden, Disney World commercials show up, or a Disney World flyer comes in the mail, and that's a communication. That's a synchronicity saying, do you remember the good times we used to have? That kind of thing. And if you remember those good times, let's bring those good times into your life now. Now I'm stepping forward. We're just talking about the synchronicities. I'm starting to talk about what they could possibly mean. So we'll drill down a little bit into how can you find the meanings or that part of the conversation that the signs are bringing to you, and then you can have a response back, and then you're building a relationship with the universe. And what is the universe? What do I mean about the universe? And the universe is a nice big giant word that's neutral, that talks about source. When I talk about the Akashic realm, the Akashic records are inside the Akashic realm. And the Akashic realm is the one mind, all that is. And the all that is, I call that source. And the qualities of the all that is divine unconditional love. And so when I talk about these synchronicities being communications from the universe, what I'm really saying is those are little messages and whispers and nudges from divine unconditional love that said, I'm here with you, you're not alone, and I have something to say to you. And oftentimes the universe, being a big, vast scope of energy, within that energy, that loving energy, are our guides, the angels, the loved ones that have gone before us and have things to say to us, and all of the masters and teachers that also exists within this beautiful paradigm of heaven, is what I call it. So how else can synchronicity show up in your life? Let's go a little bit more back into that and get into the signs. Dreams can be amazing messages from heaven or from your guides or from your unconscious self. Judith Orloff talks about, I think, 4 types of dreams. One of them is just you're getting your yayas out. It's been a stressful day, so you're just dreaming about it, or you're trying to solve something in your dream, a problem that's happening or in your life. I worked on computers in a corporate world for years and years, and I would have dreams of windows opening and closing, opening and closing. And then I realized, oh my God, that's my job, that's my work. Another aspect of dreams can be your higher conscious. When I say subconscious, I mean the higher conscious, the soul is sending you a message about something in your life. One woman talks about, I'm trying to think of an example from my life, but one woman that I know talked about dreaming about a man that she knew, and that man was doing something in her dream that she didn't like. I think they were having soup for dinner, and he ate all the soup before she could have anything. And so in the dream, I think we worked through what's nurturing you in this relationship, or is all the nurturing going for one side and you're not getting what you need, what you perceive as nurturing in your life. And so that dream was talking to her about not just how she felt about the relationship, but what she needed from the relationship. And it was this, and was this relationship worth it to continue to nurture it when she wasn't being nurtured? It was a very deep dream. I had a dream once that I was working with a dream group, and we were learning how to analyze the dreams. And the dream was very simple. I was going to make a grilled cheese sandwich, and I found the pot and I put it on the stove, the fry pan, put it on the stove. I found the bread, I found the butter, but there was no cheese. I thought there was a lot of cheese in the refrigerator, and I went in, there was no cheese. And I was really upset about no cheese. And I kept looking for cheese until I found way back in the refrigerator, there was some shredded cheese left over from when I was making pizza. And I said, you can make a grilled cheese sandwich from shredded cheese. You don't have to have the sliced cheese. I'm kind of like being flexible. And I made myself a grilled cheese sandwich, but it wasn't the one I wanted. And so as I sat down with what did these specific elements in my dream mean to me, I went to the thing that made me the most upset, which was no cheese. And the no cheese, as I asked the cheese, who are you? What are you in my life? What do you represent? And it was my marriage. And there was no cheese in my marriage. The cheese had gone away, except for a little bit of specks in the back of the refrigerator. And then the other piece that I picked to go into to have a conversation with was the refrigerator, because the refrigerator had no emotional value to me. It just was a refrigerator, was an appliance. And I talked to the refrigerator and I said, who are you in my dream? What do you represent? And the refrigerator said, I'm life. I'm always going to be running. I'm always going to be providing for you. I'm always going to be here. And then I realized that as I could leave what what wasn't serving me, life would still serve me. Life would still be there for me. It was a huge dream. I had lots of tears over a grilled cheese sandwich. But see, what I'm talking about is understanding the messages that your dreams can give you is very, very powerful. And then the other piece of dreams is prophetic dreams, things that could happen or are going to happen. And I've had plenty of those where I've dreamt about something happening over and over and over again. And it wasn't really, wasn't anything in my life that I could recognize, but it had a huge emotional impact. It had a very visceral feeling to it. I wasn't necessarily wrapped up in it like I was the grilled cheese sandwich, but I was very compelled to watch it. And that dream actually did end up coming true. It was a prophetic dream. As I learned to share the information, as I learned to go deeper into the information intuitively and psychically, I got more and more information out of this very compelling dream, which was full of symbols, but every symbol represented something real. And those really things, it did really happen. So dreams are very powerful ways of creating signs and symbols and even synchronicities, because why did I have that dream on this day, kind of thing. Sometimes things can happen to us that are signs to us. My daughter would always talk to me about in her at college in her dorm, she had a kind of an apartment like setting, and the cabinets would always open up. She'd be studying, and then the cabinets would just open up, and she was kind of not so sure about that. So those were physical things moving. I've had houses where things would not stay on the wall. Clocks would not stay on the wall in one particular house that I owned. Clocks kept falling off and breaking no matter how I hung them. So the only clocks that would work were the clocks on the stove and that were built into something that there was no way they were going to fall off. And as I learned to use my intuition, it's like, what is the symbolism of clocks falling and breaking and time stopping? So that was a fun project to work on intuitively. So we can have signs can come through nature. I'm trying to think of all things of signs and symbols. Nature is a great place to have signs and connections showing up from universal love and rainbows or rain showers or animals, certain types of birds. I was unpacking a couple of weeks ago, and my little neighbor was helping me, and she kept finding all of the cardinals. I didn't realize I had that many cardinals. I had a stuffed cardinal, I had a couple of cardinal statues, I had a picture of a cardinal, and I had a magnet of a cardinal that you put it on glass. One side of the glass is half of the cardinal, and then the other side of the glass was another half of the cardinal. And she kept saying, my mom loves cardinals because it reminds her of her grandfather, my great grandfather. And she was getting teary-eyed seeing all the cardinals. And I was wondering what was the message in that for me. The message in that for her was that her great grandfather was close, her grandfather was close. But for me, it was like, the grandfather is close. And he was saying hello to me. Thank you for being a neighbor. Thank you for moving in. And that was really sweet. I still want to do something with those cardinals. I haven't figured out what. So nature and rainbows are very powerful. And dragonflies can land on you, and they have a meaning of the dragonfly. Birds have special meaning for me, specific kinds of birds. So when they show up, this kind of an animal totem thing, I want to invite you to the concept of talking to those animals when they can show up. If they show up once, okay, they show up twice. And the teaching is that if they show up 3 times, there's a message there. There's something that they want to say. Bears show up a lot for me, not necessarily in nature, but bears will show up. I'll get in my Facebook feed, I'll get a bunch of bears, or then I'll get, that's another bear will show up in an email. And then another bear will show up randomly in a store. And I'm just going to the store and there's a picture of a bear, or there's a little statue of a bear. So that bear now has shown up for me 3 times. Bears show up for me a lot. And when a bear shows up for me in my life, it's about finding that wisdom, finding that protection. Boundaries are very important to look at when the bears show up. And so does seasonal. Where are you in the season? Is it time for you to sleep? Is it time for you to wake up? Is it bears are a clan animal for me. They're a family animal for me. And so when I see them, it's like I need to check out the mother bear. I need to check out my family. Dragonflies for me, dragonflies are halfway between this world and the other world. They're about the 2 dimensions, and they're about creativity, and they're about listening to messages. And hawks are about listening to messages, but the dragonfly means transformational messages. Somebody speaking to you from the other side. So the hawk may see something up in the air or up in the world and may bring that message to you, but the dragonfly will see the message, from the other dimension, from the other place. So there, as you understand the meaning, spiritual meaning of an animal, especially if they're showing up for you. Bobcats are showing up for me a lot lately, even real bobcats outside. You'll understand what the message is that's coming to you from that loving universe. I started to talk to you about rainbows, and I have a great rainbow story. That when my mom passed in June, it was about 5 years now, and well, maybe more than that. And I had to drive out to Michigan from Massachusetts. It's a long drive. And on the way home after the funeral, it was kind of a sad, long drive home. It was a lot of thunderstorms were just coming over the New York thruway. And so I must have seen, I don't know, a dozen rainbows. And as I was looking at these rainbows, I said, well, rainbows can be a sign. Is this a sign from my mother? Or what is it a sign from? And so as I blended into the rainbow, when I say blend in, when I looked at the rainbow, I softened my mind, let my thoughts drop into my heart, and I just felt and just leaned into, there's a rainbow. What is it saying to me? Relaxing, not analyzing, relaxing my thought. I just felt the rainbows, and kind of felt like mom had something to do with them. And then by the time I got home after that long drive, another huge thunderstorm rolled in and over the house. And I went outside to kind of look at the damage, or look at, we had a lot of trees in the front of the house. And coming right through the trees, right through the leaves, all the way down to my mailbox. My mailbox was on a post in front of the house, was a rainbow. And the rainbow hit the mailbox. And it was such a message. I said, well, I guess it is, Mom, because it's a message. The rainbows are definitely a message for me. Of course, I ran right out there to see if there was a pot of gold, and there wasn't. But the meaning was, to me, really brought it home, where this symbol or this sign was saying, you're correct in your thinking. This is a message to you from the heavens. And your mom is learning how to make rainbows, and she's very happy doing that. And that was a beautiful sign for me. So now when I see rainbows, rainbows have always meant promise, but now it means a bridge from one side to another, from one thought form to another thought form, from one plane of existence to another plane of existence. So rainbows now have a lot of more meaning for me than they ever did, because that meaning and that symbolism grew within me, and it was a place of making connection to this side and the other. See what I'm talking about here? You want to observe your life. You want to see what's showing up repeatedly, and ask what it means. Not analyze what it could mean, but ask your inner self, ask your inner spark. What's this saying to me? What is the message from that all-loving universe, right? Another sign that people love to share and love to talk about and get so excited about is numbers. When it's 11:11, when it's 4:444, 4 o'clock, when it's 4:44 in the afternoon or the morning, depending on how well you're sleeping. Those numbers have meanings. They have angelic meanings, and they also have numerological meaning. So when you search for the meaning of a number, it's good to search in a couple different disciplines, the numerological discipline, as well as the angelic realm discipline. And they can, you can see meanings coming from both of those disciplines. And if you layer them together, they can really speak to you very succinctly. 111, I wrote that down to see what it means, but 111 means it's talking about a new beginning, something heads up, something is about to start fresh, and it's a manifestation number. So what are you thinking about? Because that's what you're going to manifest. So 111, I said, clean up my thoughts, clean up my expectations, and get myself aligned with who I am and what my real dreams are, and put everything aside. So really, when I see that, it's clean up your mind, because what you're thinking is manifesting right now. And so what it is you want to manifest. I want to go back and take a little step back and talk about spiritual synchronicities with a live spirit, or signs, or actual communication with a guide or an angel or a master. Carl Jung, going back to Carl Jung, he was a prominent Swiss psychiatrist. He's a psychologist, he was a psychotherapist, he did it all. Psych means soul. So he was really looking at the soul aspect of healing, and mental and emotional healing. And he worked with Sigmund Freud for several years, until Jung's research and growth in personal philosophies just started to branch off. They went from Freud's thinking. So they went their separate ways, and Jung continued to do an amazing body of work. Jung believed that people's main life tasks are about personal and inner growth and development. He believes that understanding one's own relationship to the collective conscious and the collective unconscious profoundly influences an individual's life. And from there, they can grow. But he also believes that you can recover from whatever has been ailing you from an unconscious place, but you do it through spirit, you do it through your soul. So he believed that recovery was possible. And he says, well, say an alcoholic or somebody with a very serious either illness or problem or trauma or emotional pain, they needed to have a religious or a spiritual experience, not in get religion, but go within and move into your soul and move into your guides. And this was later proven, and I love this story, in the case of Bill W. He was the founder of AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, and when a higher power directly intervened with Bill and had a miraculous healing, a miraculous shift, and he no longer drank. He no longer desired to have to drink, and it helped him to recover from his alcoholism. Over time, he was able to build a 12-step program, which has helped many other people to recover from their drug and alcohol problems. And it's based on spiritual connection with life, soul connection with life. And I love this story, and I love that Carl Jung was was prominent in understanding that before this happened to Bill W., because it just paved the way for our healing and our recovery as human beings is of a spiritual nature, or we do need to go towards a spiritual nature to heal, which speaks to me. These signs and these synchronicities and these nudges are really invitations from the universe, the angels, the spirit side, to move forward in a healing, loving way, to grow and learn in our lives. So it's a sign. Pay attention to it, because it's going to, if you pay attention to it and you work it within yourself, it's going to take you to some place that you never imagined that you would want to go, or could go, or it was even possible for you to go. Sounds can be very healing. We have binaural beats, we have some other things, frequencies, sounds that carry certain frequencies that can bring healing to us. But in terms of beginners, signs that come from songs can be, and this happened to me just the other day, a song pops up on from your playlist or from the radio, or something that you recognize that reminds you of so-and-so, or gives you a message of something that you've been struggling with. And the other day I was driving and I wanted to be kind of quiet. So my radio was off and my playlist was off, and my phone just had the GPS running, telling me where to go so I didn't get lost. And then when I just about was where I was going, which was a very important place that I was going, and I was meeting people that I really cared about, a song started playing. My Mama Cass song started playing, and it was Sing Your Own Special Song. You've got to, I can't say the lyrics, sing your own special song. You've got your own special way of doing things. Even if nobody else sings along, you still have to do your own inner music. And I just was crying because it hit home really hard. And it was a sign right at the same time. And I do not know how that playlist turned on in my radio without me even touching it. So I mean, that was really amazing sign. I took it, I'm taking it. And then and I was hanging out with my friends, and they were talking about signs and synchronicities. And then after they were kind of busy, done talking about it, I said, you would not believe what happened to me on the way here. And they were just dying laughing. So it meant something to them to know that as they were interested in these signs and synchronicities, it's something that actually happened on the way to them. And pay attention. I think if you want to know something, if you have a question, put the question out there. When I say out there, just kind of close your eyes and focus and be clear on what it is that you want to know, and then ask that a higher source, an intelligence from the higher source or source itself, would come and bring you information about this particular issue that you're thinking about. And that is called setting an intention. And that is what sets the conversations going. Now, a couple things need to happen here. You have patience. So you set the question. It's not necessarily going to come back right at you, but you have to remember that you asked the question. So when the information starts showing up in its own time, in its own way, you're actually remembering the question and there are appropriate connections. Sometimes people ask for a specific thing, or they expect God to deliver certain things, or they just, there's this deficit in their life and they are looking for signs to how do I fix this deficit? What do I do? And the signs and the symbols and the nudges may not be what you expect because there's such a heartfelt need or such a heartfelt expectation in that request. And so the signs that you're looking for are already set up inside your expectations. And this is where things can go awry, where you may lose your faith or your hope, or you become skeptical that spirit would even speak to you, or is spirit even listening to me? A lot of times I would hear people say, and I said, well, are you listening to the answers coming back, or are you waiting for the answer that you expect? Because the answer is coming back continuously over and over and over again. But if it's the answer you don't want, you're not going to hear it. If it's the answer you don't want, you're not going to play it out or be creative with it. I went through a period, last year, where my last 4 digits of my social security kept showing up. And I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it kept showing up. I was either asked for it, or a form would come with the number on, or just randomly the numbers would just pop up, not even connected to any kind of form filling out. And I thought, well, this is interesting, but I wasn't paying attention to it. But in the meantime, I was having all of these financial decisions that I had to make, and I wasn't sure on how I was going to make them or what was the right decision. And as I look back, the whole time, spirit was there helping me make those decisions, helping me to move forward, specifically financial planning in my world, in my life. And it was a big help. It was really a big help. And I made some thoughts and some decisions that I hadn't ever had for all the years that, I was planning financial stuff. I never thought of going in that particular direction. And I find that I took a risk and it's like it's paying off. Or I was paying off, but I was guided to go in a different direction that I had been planning on going. And I find that, let's see what happens over the next couple of years. I suggest you keep a notebook of your interactions with the numbers, your interactions with nature, your interaction with songs, and just keep a running notebook. You can go deep if you want, or you could just write down the synchronicities and the signs and just kind of this. I think this is what this means. This dream had a big player in. I think this is it. And then as you write them down, you can go back later and look at them. And you know what? There's going to be a theme there. There's going to be almost a complete sentence in this, if you will, in those messages as you go back into your notebook and read them. So, and also committing these signs and symbols to writing, you're telling yourself that they're important. You're telling your brain, I want to understand more of this. Give me more information. And so you're training your brain to look at the signs and the synchronicities, and you're opening the door to conversing with the higher source, however they are showing up for you. And you are opening the door to give information and ask questions and receive information as it comes through. My mom would always say, what were you waiting for, an engraved invitation? She would always say that because it's late for dinner or something. And you're not getting an engraved invitation, you just need to know it's supper time, kind of thing. And I think the universe is trying to give us engraved invitations, but we're not necessarily paying attention, or we're expecting it in an envelope with a stamp, but it's not going to show up that way. It's going to show up in its own way. I want you to think about something. Why numbers are such big signs nowadays is because of technology and electronics and all of the numbers that show up and exist. Oh, I can't believe I'm seeing all these numbers, and it's on my clock in the morning. It's on my phone. It's on my dashboard when the mileage dial changed. And the reason the numbers are coming in so clearly as such a prominent way of getting signs is because We're not going out in nature like we used to. The shamans used to meditate and used to look for signs in nature. In reading the runes, old times, reading the runes. You do a reading on it with the runes, and you get the information. And then you put the runes away, and you fold up the cloth, and the shaman would, or the reader would wait for a sign from nature that verified and validated the message. It could have been an ant walking across a shoe, as simple as that. That validated the message that they gave. So it wasn't just a one flow of energy, it was multiple flows of energy to get that information from source. And we are in front of, right now, I'm sitting here in front of a screen talking to a box, hoping somebody hears me. And so the signs that the universe is able to give to me are going to be based in the technology I'm working on, if you follow what I'm saying. So opening up your life to more ways that the universe can reach us, and nature is a very powerful place to do it, is important. And you need to pay attention. You need to look, listen, and watch with your heart to get the feeling of, what does this mean? What is this about? Smelling and tasting is one of my favorite ways to get signs and messages from the universe. And I'm going a little bit into intuitive abilities, but I talk about these things, but I don't think that it's that far up put, or that hard of a stretch for you to think about the last time you were in a situation you didn't like. Can you remember what it tasted like, or what it smelled like to you? Do you see what I'm saying? Or you met somebody and they're like Limburger cheese, or something doesn't smell right here, or this doesn't taste right, that kind of thing. Or this tastes delicious. Oh, this is just the best thing in the world. It's like eating ice cream or chocolate or whatever. And you're talking about a person or a situation or a house. So allowing your body to deliver messages to you from the universe is a very clever and a very powerful way of talking to the universe. So the next time you meet somebody new, very quietly ask yourself, so what does this person taste like? What do they smell like? What are my senses telling them? Am I getting spidey tingles, or do I feel calm, or do I feel like, nothing's going on here, move on? Pay attention to what your body is telling you about the situation, because there's a vibration and energy that are coming into the energy and vibration of yourself, and there's an exchange of information happening. And that's a very powerful sign in synchronicities and nudges about, hey, pay attention to this person. This is a good person for you to know and become friends with. Or be careful around this person. They have some issues that might bite you later. So don't have to be skeptical or say bad things about them. Just watch your back a little bit. Kind of, what does it taste like? What does it feel like? Are you freezing cold? Are you very warm? Are you excited? Are you falling asleep? Those energy vampires, I always, when I get near some energy vampires, they just talk you to death, and they just want to tell you about themselves, tell you about the last thing, but you can't get a word in edgewise. And I always get really sleepy around people like that. And so when I start to get sleepy and I can't quite focus and I'm getting fuzzy, it's like I have to take a deep breath, but oh, wait a minute, my energy is flowing in one direction, and I need to get it back into my body. And as I get it back into my body, I can snap out of the fog, and I can shift the situation, so I'm not so drained. So that's another way that you can get information. Intuition and perceiving signs is really, I talk about this a lot. Your intuition, as you learn to connect to your intuition, which is your perception from your superpower, is your perceptions to feel things in a vibrational way, or see things or know things in a vibrational way. But sometimes we are perceiving things and we're seeing them, and we are deciding what they mean before we even get the energy hit of what they really mean. Do you see what I'm saying? We look at something, we decide that's that, and that means this. And then since we decided that, we didn't really check in with that higher universal communication vibration that was going on. We may feel that the answer that we got from the universe is that glass of cold water, and it wasn't giving you what you were looking for. But if you had taken a look at the glass of cold water from a more intuitive place and said, what is this here for? What does this mean? There would be more information there for you. And maybe you are getting what you need. Maybe the answer is right there, but your perceptions are stopping you from seeing that and understanding that. So when we talk about intuition, we really want to talk about letting yourself get the information from the higher source, not from your mind. You're teaching your mind to go out and find the information and bring it back to you. Our mind goes out. There's a bazillions of pieces of information every second in our life. And our mind is trained as to what to pay attention to, bring it on home to give you what you need. And sometimes we see the same old all the time because of how our brain is trained. And if you go on an intuitive track, an intuitive journey of developing your intuition, part of that is training your brain, look for this now. And a gratitude practice is a really good way to train your brain. As you find simple things that make you happy, and you're grateful for them, and how does this simple thing, how does a paper clip improve your life? Kind of thing. Well, it's shiny and it's green and it holds, oh my God, it's just holding these two pieces of paper together that I can't lose. It organizes me. And I'm really grateful for when I get help with organization, because I struggle with organization. So now I'm telling my brain, this feels good. Find more things that are organizing me. And, or I love this message from the dragonfly, what else is there? Help me to understand what the dragonfly is saying, help me to go deeper. And then, oh my gosh, 3 more dragonflies showed up, and I'm observing them and I'm seeing them. I would not have noticed them if I hadn't asked my brain to go out and look for them. See what I mean? So now your brain is bringing you different kinds of information, and life's not so boring after all. It's not the same old, that there are miracles. There's beautiful things hidden in plain sight, but our brain, because of the way we trained it, doesn't see it. So another plus, I'm looking at signs and nudges and wanting to understand what they mean and what's under that rock. We are actually asking ourselves to stretch and learn and grow. I'm going to go back. I'm jumping around here. My kids were very small, and they went to daycare, and I was working. And every mom worries about their kids. Are they happy at daycare? Are they getting what they need? Are they getting what they want? Is this the right daycare for them? Are they stimulated? And it goes on for hours. And you're trying to get your work done, or you're too busy thinking of your kids. Well, right around lunchtime, it was amazing to me. It's happened. I would taste literally what they were having for lunch, whether it was mac and cheese. I tasted that the fastest. They had mac and cheese a lot, by the way, or peanut butter and jelly, or bologna sandwiches, or little cut up pieces of roasted chicken, and I would taste it. And then when I would go home, pick them up and take them home, I would say, so what'd you have for lunch? I would check it out. That was a good way. I built my intuition that way by, since it was already working on Mom Patrol, I was able to really work on it's called Claire Gusting and Claire Aliens. I worked without even realizing it. I was working on those skills. I got to the point where I could almost, when one of the kids were getting sick, I could almost smell it on them. Or if I gave them a little kiss on their neck, I could taste, oh, they're coming down with something. You see what I'm saying? Or that food isn't really agreeing with them. I need to give her less milk. Or something like that. My intuition was stepping even deeper into my parenting, using my clairalience and my clairgusting, and we all have it. This is something weird and special to me. We all have these things. Random conversations, I think, it's somebody coined a frame calling it clair enunciate, but random conversations from people in, say, the grocery store, or somebody you don't know, a friend just kind of showed up and started talking to you about something, and it just happens to be the very thing that you were wondering about. And needing a piece of information, and all of a sudden somebody out of the blue who you didn't even call or connect with shows up. That is a sign, that is a signal, that's an angel working through that person. That person is an angel to you, an angel message. So listen to those and do take them to heart. Do listen to them. Because the person giving it to you doesn't know that they're giving it to you. They're just got something in their mind they gotta say. They say it and it hits you, hits you hard, and it comes home to you, and it's a gift. So how to recognize nudges from the universe can be a little bit tricky. Again, we're going back to that perception, that expectations. And how do you know that you're not just setting yourself up for a fall? You've got this, all the signs are telling me this, and and then the thing that you think the signs are telling you, you go out and you do it, and it was nothing. It didn't really work. A couple things are happening there. You're listening with your mind and your thought perceptions. You have expectations. So we want to kind of take a look at how much that's playing into your disappointment, and also your learning and the vibes that you're getting. You're learning to discern the vibes. You're learning to understand the vibes, and that takes time. So don't stop watching. Don't stop bringing it all in. Just know that the knife needs to get honed. The sensitivities need to be developed. And just a little side note that when we do look at signs and we are using our sensitivity to take in the messages, we get a little sensitive. So sensitivity gets more sensitive. So do a practice of self-protection. Can you be misguided? Of course you can. And the misguided could be people around you are all agreeing to one thought form or to one outcome. And because their power of the mind is all agreeing on one thing, the signs show up, everything is sinking in to that thought form, because thought precedes reality. They're creating reality as a group. And it's very important for you to realize, am I in a group mentality here? I've seen groups of psychics give readings, all coming together and getting themselves all worked up, and they're way off track as to what this message or what this information that's needed to come through, because the one mind grabbed everyone together and just connected the dots and made a picture that was from the imagination, from expectations, not from actually connecting into the energy and allowing it to flow and allowing the information to build. So yes, you can be misguided. You can be misguided because somebody wants to manipulate you, and their power of the mind and the power of their manipulation is second to none. And that happens to all of us. And we can be misguided by our own belief systems, by our own limitations, our own blocks. I'll tell you a story. I was working in a shamanic group for a year or so. I was going on these weekend retreats. They were amazing. And we would make these ceremonial fires. And one night, I think it was the Saturday, it was right in the middle of the retreat, making a ceremonial fire, but it was raining out. And I was like, oh, we're not going to have a fire tonight, are we? So my friend and I decided we were going to go out. She was gung-ho, and I'm like, all right, I'll go with you. And she says, we're going to build this fire. It's going to be fine. You'll see. Well, we grabbed that stuff. We grabbed the wood. We cleaned out the fire pit, and we set it up. And what happened was we were gathering the wood and the supplies, and it was raining and soggy and wet. But when we got to the fire bowl, it was dry. And after a while, we started noticing and said, well, this is amazing. So we stayed within 4 feet of the fire bowl, was dry, and then you stepped out away and you get wet. So we kept staying closer and closer, and we got the fire going, and it was blazing. And people were coming in with their raincoats and soggy, and got to the fire, and it was dry and beautiful. And that is the power of the mind. That is the power of the mind when it's connected to source, when it's connected to spirit. We're going to create a beautiful sacred fire here. Will you help us, nature? Will you help us, spirit? And we got all the help we needed. And it was a gorgeous, gorgeous night. I'll never forget that. Thought and relationships with nature and with higher source can create miracles. Well, they look like miracles to us, but to nature's like, yeah, that's how it works, of course. So let yourself dream your dreams and look for the guidance that will take you to the actualization of the dreams. those dreams are nudges. I'm talking a little bit my daydreams or dreams that we have in our heart that we can envision them coming true. And if we can envision it, we can also envision the help that will get us there. So that's your dreams are requests to the universe, and the universe is answering you. So, take a minute, pay attention, and see what's coming your way. Daydreams can give you information. You could be you're watching a ridiculously stupid commercial that's on TV, and something catches you about that commercial, and that's the yellow duck. And that yellow duck, and then the yellow duck is doing this, and then the yellow duck is doing this other thing. And all of a sudden, this yellow duck is flying over this river in this beautiful woods. And then where am I going with this? And so you just follow the daydream of the yellow duck, and that is spirit. That is your soul. That is your spirit talking to you. And then the universe will meet your spirit as it goes out. And so pay attention to those daydreams. You don't have to daydream a miserable outcome unless that is a premonition daydream that said, no matter what I do, every time I set up to do this one project, I never feel good, and it always comes back like a tornado hit it. And that is also a premonition that's saying where you're going with this project may not be the right direction, or maybe this project that you've been given is going to be postponed and a new project's going to come in. So just heads up and be prepared for that. I used to, at work, I'd have my task list, and I would set it up before I left, so that when I came in the morning, my task list would already be set up for that day. And then I would look at that list and I would feel what's first, what's second, what's third. And it was not usually what I thought it was the previous night. So I started to number the list in the intuitive. It actually sometimes, so I was clairvoyant, the bright colored ones were the first ones to do. And so as I followed through on my intuition and reprioritized my list, I was always right. Somebody called me like, I need for you to do such and such. I know I told you to do this, and I'd say, yeah, I have it. And I would email it to them and be like, oh, thank you. And it's kind of cool. So signs are coming. I want to go back to where are we getting these signs from? Where are we getting these connections from? Pay attention to the source of the signs. Pay attention. Is this an agreement of people around it? So we're creating something from not the one mind of the universe, but the group mentality. And is that from the highest source? Or is it from the one mind, the higher source, superconscious? And is that something I want to follow? Is this coming from my doubts and my fears? And of course, your doubts and fears are going to have all kinds of signs and validations that say, of course, you were right to be afraid of that. Or is it coming from my higher mind, my higher self, that's saying, and now it's time for you to create something new. Let's try something new. So pay attention to the sources, and pay attention to, can you feel the presence of an angel? Can you feel the presence of a loved one, or a spirit guide, or a master, maybe a master? I had wonderful elephants were showing up everywhere in my life about 3 years ago. And I just loved these elephants. And one day, Ganesh walks in and sits right in front of me in my meditation. I was like, has that been you? He says, yeah, I can clear the obstacles in front of you. Just keep working with me. And it wasn't a fast move. It was a strong, steady move of a very powerful big elephant. And to this day, I'm very grateful to Ganesh. I don't listen to him enough. So feeling the presence of these guides will help you also get the other piece of the message and really trigger that conversation back and forth, which is so very important. Some tools that you can use to help you become more sensitized to seeing these signs would be meditation. Prayer is prayer, to really be clear on what you're asking for, what you want, and pay attention to, oh yeah, that's right, I asked for that. That's the answer to that. So, one day you ask for a bike, and then the next day you ask for a washing machine, and then a bike shows up and you go, well, where's my washing machine? Can you pay attention to what you said to the universe? Meditation is about quieting self so that you can hear, you can feel the flow of the energy. The universe does not speak in your language. It speaks in its own language. So learning the language of your soul, learning the language of the universe comes through meditation. That comes through prayer. Then I mentioned journaling. Write down in a notebook all the things that have been going on for signs, and then you can go back and start. The message will start to flow. The big message will start to flow as you read your notebook. Or journaling too is like something that you're really struggling with, or really want to have more information about, and writing it down and really kind of looking at that. And then as you write it down, pay attention to all the signs around you, write the signs down and see what they're telling you. So journaling is a great way to commit to seeing the universe around you. And that, yes, I did see this. This is not something I just made up on willy-nilly. This is truly happening. And other tools can be your body language, kinesiology, muscle testing. When you put your hand, stand up tall, put your hand on your heart, and have your body show you which way is leaning is yes and which way leaning is no. Just stand there patiently, go no, 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 and see where your body goes. And then, or say yes, 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 and see if my body goes forward when it's a yes. And sometimes I fall to the side, and I'm working on that. It's like, maybe, I think you need more information. So let's get clear. How is your body talking to you? Pendulums are another way of bringing information, learning how to use a pendulum. I'm not going to show you right now. I'm not set up for that, but I want to challenge you to look at the signs and the signals showing up in your life. And they come from all kinds of places, all kinds of ways. They come from cupboards opening, to lights flickering on and off, to your sock drawer, all the socks are mismatched, or seeing, like I was seeing my last 4 digits of my social security everywhere. And just pay attention. And if you don't know what they mean, that's okay. Write it down and just make yourself sensitized. Bring your mind into a place of sensitivity and awareness to perceive these signs. And the more that you perceive them, the more you'll see. And you'll see that the universe has been talking to you since the day you were born, and you are not alone. So I give you my blessings, and I give you my challenge. And if you want to work with me, it's angelscapes.net. You can schedule a session with me. We can work together on finding what the blocks are, what your belief systems are, and what your Akashic records have to say about your own communications with your soul in the universe. And I'm here for that. And so for now, challenge yourself and find the richness, find the miracles of life. And that's it for now. Until next time.
Thank you for joining the Angelscapes podcast. We hope you've gained new insights and inspiration for your journey to uncover and access your soul's power. For more information and a deeper dive into finding clarity in your life, go to angelscapes.com. Remember to subscribe so you can be part of the discussion. It may just change your life. See you next time.